Hello, this is Wmpyr back with another video on Filipino martial arts. Okay, so the previous video I talked about, um, some of the ideas on Filipino martial arts, and I was trying to clarify to you guys, about the one system. That was the main principle, and because this is due to the fact that we live in a world today that there's a lot of information, and with it also comes misinformation. And I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just trying to help you guys make sense out of it, because for me, this stuff, it makes sense. Or I've made it to where it makes sense to me. So I'm just trying to share that perspective with you guys so that it makes the training easier. And I want this to be like a video series, and this next topic is going to be about the angles of attack. Okay, now the angles of attack to me is one of the pillars for Filipino martial arts. It's like our forms, okay, and usually the forms are not ultra long. Some of the shorter ones, the shortest one that I teach is pretty much the five angles of attack, and that comes from an instructional video where I saw Professor Danny Nosanto do it. The one that I originally learned when I trained in FMA was 12. It was a set of 12 moves. Okay, so that's not very long. Compare that to some like kung fu forms and stuff that could take 30 minutes from beginning to end. It's nothing like that, right? And that was one of the things that I really, really liked about Filipino martial arts, that it had very short, easy to remember forms. Now there are some forms that are longer and stuff. So the first thing I want to say about the angles of attack, a lot of them are is pretty much single stick that you're going to practice it with. Okay, and then you could go into other weapons, bladed weapons and stuff. But yeah, pretty much single stick. Okay, one-handed. And the first thing I really, really want to say here is that there are a ton of these forms. Okay, every person that I met in person and cross-trained with that did FMA, Filipino martial arts, their form was a little bit different than mine, or sometimes a lot different than mine. Okay, therefore, there's a ton of different forms out there. All right, and that's number one. I want you guys to know there's tons of angles of attack forms. Number two is, because there's a lot, I've seen self-defense instructors and stuff. I'm not going to name names, but some world famous instructors and all that. They'll tell you, like, yeah, there's a lot of different angles of attack forms, different numbering systems, and they say it's confusing. And I agree. Yeah, when there's tons, it's like, well, which one do I learn? It's confusing. Yeah, I agree with that, right? And so they go, mine is the best. I put together the best numbering system, the numbering form, angles of attack. And so just learn mine, and the rest, they're all, what other people do is not good. Now, obviously, that's a superiority complex. This guy's a jerk. Don't listen to him. All right. When they start talking like that, that's already a red flag. You should know that this person, there's something wrong with this guy. He's an egomaniac or whatever. Um, the basic idea for any angles of attack, this is just, to me, math, right? And this has nothing to do with superior. It's just math. Is going to be an asterisk symbol. So it's a plus sign plus an X sign put together. That's an asterisk, right? Now, some asterisks are drawn differently. I understand. But get the plus sign and combine it with the X sign, and that's your asterisk. That covers the entire angles of attack. And you could do more to it. Like, you could put that asterisk inside a circle or inside a square. And then from there, you could create triangles. You could stab into the blank spots. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that you could do to expand it. But an asterisk, to me, is the base. Period. Period. Now, So then you might go, well, then the asterisk is the best. No, it's not the best. It's the most basic. The reason why I say this is because the Filipinos that have been training Escrima Kali artists for hundreds of years, they know this. I'm pretty sure the founders, if these guys really were these awesome, dedicated warriors with real battlefield experience, which I believe to be 100%, then, you know, of course they thought of the asterisk. How could you not? You know, it's so basic. It's just that to me, what they're teaching is not the asterisk anymore because they went beyond it. So the angles of attack forms that you learn in FMA is beyond the asterisk. It's evolved from the asterisk, and same with Spanish fencing. Okay, this is something that had a great influence on the Filipino um, martial arts. So they also of course, they also knew the asterisk, but once again, I feel like they went beyond that, right? You don't, in a way that their skill level was probably so high that they didn't teach the asterisk anymore, if that makes sense. If you look at it from the advanced teacher's point of view, maybe they forgot the asterisk, if that's even possible. You know what I mean? So, um, when you look at the different angles of attack forms, right? Um, each one has its own flavor. In other words, each one has its own tactics, its own specialty. And to me, it's kind of like, okay, the asterisk is like when you go into a boxing gym and they're going to teach you this is how you throw the jab, this is how you throw the cross, the hook, and the uppercuts, this is your stance. And all across the board, whether it's a gym in Philly or a gym in Texas, okay, or anywhere else, it's going to be pretty similar. Pretty similar. All right. But then when you see, I just watched a Mike Tyson fight, right? When you watch Mike Tyson or you watch Muhammad Ali or you watch, any of the other professional superstar boxers, you see that they went beyond the basics. They don't box like the way, like if you and I went to a boxing gym on day one, what they teach us, they don't box that way. Okay. So that's the same idea. The asterisk is the day one stuff. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good, solid, foundational, and it's probably good to go back to it once in a while and study it and go, oh, why do they teach it this way? But then you see the evolved forms, and it might be more towards blade, or it might be more towards close range fighting, or it might be more for long range defang the snake type of fighting. So it all differs, and you could kind of like get that out of those different angles of attack forms. You study that, okay, and then you can study like, okay, if this is more blade form but it doesn't have this movement as much, or this one has more stabbing type and stabbing off the center line angle stabs, why is that, and so it helps you understand tactics. Okay, you could deep dive any of those forms and it'll help you get a better idea of each style of Filipino martial arts, because within Kali there's a lot of different Kali styles. Within Arnis there's a lot of different, in Escrima the same thing. So you could almost say this the same thing with like BJJ. The way the Gracie family does it versus the way let's say the Henzo Gracie side of the family with Henzo Half and Hyen, the way that they do it is different, and then the way that the Carlson Gracie senior does it is a little bit different. His team is different. You could see a little bit of differences in specialty and the way that they fight. Not just each brother, like for example, from the Helio side, you could see the way Hoyler, Hoist, and Hickson fight is all different, but I'm talking like within these they're almost like branches, and like the way I went to the Machado Academy. So when you go to the Machado Academy, you could see certain things like, oh, this guy, like watching him grapple, you'll go, I bet you this guy is a Machado guy, just from the way he grapples. So those are the same idea that you could see in FMA, right? And the reason is because the tactics, the techniques, the strategy, is made a certain way between those different types of schools of thought, between those different methods. So angles of attack. Okay, so my point is, number one, know that there's tons of different ones. Number two is, the base form would be the asterisk. Okay, and don't think that that is the best and the rest is useless. No. Okay, and then number three is the other angles of attack, all the different ones, know that they have a certain tactic in mind, a certain specialty, if you will, a favorite move, a favorite way of fighting. And you need to decode that. Now, if your instructor knows it, then great, but it's also good for you to learn how to decode things, not just, always feed me with a silver spoon. It's good for you to think, because that way you need that to make your own style. And ultimately, you have to make it your own in order for you to pull it off. So you do need those critical thinking skills, right? So those are the three things. So the way that I would summon it up is, when you do see other angles of attack, learn it. If you can, learn it. Now, you don't need to become a collector. I've always been against collectors, okay? That, to me, that is it's probably a sinful way to live, collecting stuff, okay? And believe me, I've been there myself, and in this day and age, it almost encourages you to be that way. But I feel like that is the wrong path, okay? So always remember that quality over quantity is a good thing, okay? But just because you're putting in the time, it doesn't guarantee anything. The world is a harsh place. And we had seen this in the early UFCs, where there were guys that they were masters of their style. But if you put them in the wrong situation, and then in the early UFC's case, it was a grappling situation, it didn't matter if you were an awesome striker if you got taken down to the ground. That's like someone with a $500 hammer. You have an awesome hammer, but the situation needs a wrench. Then it doesn't matter how awesome your hammer is, right? So, it is important to work on quality, okay? But at the same time, try to, don't disregard the different angles of attack forms, and add as much as you can, okay? And study it. And that'll help you understand better when to apply, which one, or when to apply at least your tool, the one that you specialize in. You'll have a better understanding of when to apply it by knowing and studying other methods. Okay, so that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.